really don't know what to expect. Like this, to me, looks perfect. I'm just gonna show Mitch. Holy smoke!
All of us little teenage girlies at the time, it was like the perfect couple. Britney Spears and Justin Timberlake. Oh my goodness. Then in 2001 through 2002, Britney performed as a special guest at the Super Bowl with Aerosmith. And she did her first iconic Pepsi commercial and released her third studio album called Britney. This album included the songs Overprotected and I'm a Slave for You. This is when Britney gave yet another iconic performance at the MTV VMAs. Then in February of 2002, Britney starred in the movie that we've all probably seen, Crossroads. It was a box office success that grossed over $61.1 million worldwide. I mean, an absolute star Britney is at this time, so fast. Later in 2002, Britney and Justin ended up breaking up, and there were rumors that Britney had cheated on Justin, especially after Justin released his song, Cry Me a River. And that song and the music video featured a Britney look-alike. Britney initially denied it, but years later in 2023, she admitted that she had been seeing Fred Durst from Limp Bizkit at the time. Now, no one knew it, but Britney has since confirmed that her and Justin had gotten pregnant, but that they decided to end the pregnancy because they felt like they weren't ready to become parents. Britney has said that doing that was one of the most agonizing things that she has ever experienced in her life. This is what prompted Britney to write the iconic ballad Every Time. Even through all of this tragedy, the show still had to go on. In 2003, Britney had yet another iconic MTV VMA performance. This is the one where her and Christina Aguilera and Madonna sang together. And I don't know if y'all remember this. I'm sure most of y'all do. But it was very controversial at the time because the three of them ended up kissing at the end of the performance. Do y'all remember the drama? Oh my gosh. Then, in 2003, Britney released yet another very successful album called In the Zone. This is the album with the song Toxic Money. Y'all, I had that song on repeat. Mind you, after each album release, Britney also put on highly technical world tours. The production level alone of these tours has always been highly regarded, but especially the Onyx Hotel tour in 2004. Unfortunately, this tour ended up having to be canceled midway before it was completed because Britney injured her knee. 2004 is also the same year that Britney married her childhood friend Jason in Las Vegas. They ended up having their marriage annulled 55 hours later, but nevertheless. Later in 2004 is when Britney married Kevin Federline, and the two of them had their own reality show called Chaotic, which was a huge success as well. And it was basically home videos of Britney and Kevin behind the scenes. It was very raw, to say the least, and Britney would go on to say that it was probably one of the worst things that she's done in her entire career. That same year, in 2004, Britney also released her first ever perfume, which again, like I've said a million times at this point, was also an instant success. One of my friends actually still has her bottle of the Britney Spears perfume. Then Britney decided she was going to take some time off to start a family. I saw her in an interview saying that this is truly what she always wanted. And so at this point, she had her sons, Sean Preston, who was born in September of 2005, and in September of 2006, Britney had her second son, Jaden James. Sadly, though, things started to get very concerning over the next few years. In February of 2006, pictures came out of Britney driving with her son, Sean, in her lap instead of the car seat. Britney said that she had just had a horrific experience with the paparazzi and that it was definitely a mistake on her part. However, the media and really the whole entire world was extremely hard on Britney for this and for essentially everything that was still to come. I think it's important to mention that the paparazzi and the media were very different back then. I mean, let's not get it too twisted. There's still narratives that are pushed forward and things that are twisted and things that are left out. But the way that the media, the paparazzi, were able to operate back then were far different. We're talking about climbing over fences, following people around, harassing them. It was really, really bad, and Britney was pretty much the first person to get it the way that she did. In November of 2006, Britney ended up filing for divorce from Kevin Federline. And again, this was a very controversial thing at the time, and Britney received a ton of backlash for it. Every little thing that Britney did was being watched and talked about and picked apart. Whether she did this or that, or what she wore, or what she said, or if she really liked Pepsi.
Can't just genuinely, how much Pepsi do you think you drink on an average day?
I really like Pepsi.
Really? What's your
I
favorite
really
kind?
do. My favorite kind of Pepsi? Pepsi's Pepsi.
You don't drink Diet Pepsi or...
No, just regular Pepsi.
Or basically anything she did was a whole entire event. Then in January of 2007, Britney's aunt, who she was very close to, ended up passing away from ovarian cancer. This was completely devastating for Britney, and by the next month, she actually spent one day in a substance rehab facility. The next night after getting out was when Britney was filmed and photographed shaving her head in Los Angeles. She would later admit herself into other facilities during the following weeks. Then, in October of 2007, Britney lost physical custody of her sons to her ex-husband Kevin Federline, and the reasons of the court ruling were not revealed to the public, but of course there were tons of speculation in the media. Britney was made out to not only be a horrible person, but also a horrible mom. That same month, Britney released her 5th studio album, Blackout, and it didn't do as well as all of her previous albums, but it still did fairly well. Its lead single was Gimme More, which Britney performed at the 2007 MTV VMAs. This performance was again iconic, but not for the same reasons. It was heavily speculated that Britney may have been on substances during this performance because it was said that she just wasn't performing as well as she normally did. Things just continued to spiral from there. In January of 2008, Britney absolutely refused to give up custody of her sons to Kevin, and she was institutionalized at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center due to her supposed worsening mental condition. Britney's visitation rights were suspended at an emergency court hearing, and Kevin was officially given sole custody of their sons, which, as you know, also came with Britney now owing Kevin child support. It has been reported that Britney initially had to pay Kevin $20,000 a month in child support, but then it was increased to $40,000 in 2018, and then decreased back to $20,000 when her oldest son turned 18 in 2023. Her payments officially ended in November of last year, 2024, after their youngest son turned 18. Now, back to 2008, when Britney first lost custody. By the end of the month, Britney was put on a 5150 involuntary psychiatric hold. Just a few weeks later, Britney's father, Jamie, filed a temporary conservatorship suit which granted him and his attorney, Andrew Wallet, temporary control over Britney's affairs. In July of 2008, Britney ended up regaining some visitation rights after coming to an agreement with Kevin. Things started to seem a little better, but some have wondered if that was only how it appeared on the outside. In December of 2008, Britney's 6th album, Circus, was released, and this just happened to be 2 months after her conservatorship was extended indefinitely. This album was one of the fastest-selling albums of the year, and it sold over 4 million copies worldwide, so it did pretty well. Britney did go on to tour for this album, but it has since come out that Britney did not like performing under her conservatorship, and that it's left her feeling pretty traumatized, as you can imagine. I mean, imagine being a broke adult and being this huge star. Let's take anything mental away from it, but it's like you're still a child in a lot of ways. Now, fans have also said that looking back, that Britney's unhappiness during that tour was pretty obvious. I mean, people have since speculated that this album and tour were part of a controlled effort to prove that Britney was basically mentally unstable. But again, it seemed like no matter what, the show must go on. No matter what she was going through, no matter losing custody of her kids, being a chop, chop, chop. Gotta make that money, especially being under this conservatorship, allegedly. Then in March of 2011, Britney released her 7th album, and it did fairly well. Its peak in the U.S. tied Britney with Mariah Carey and Janet Jackson for the 3rd most number ones among women. Britney did go through a bit of controversy surrounding the music video for the song Criminal, however. And again, still, every move that Britney made was watched, picked apart, and criticized. In June of 2011, Britney began her tour for the album. And again, fans say that looking back, it seemed like Britney was really struggling through this tour. And Britney has since come out and said that it was very difficult. It was a terrible time for her physically and mentally. And the tour took place during a time when her conservatorship was becoming more restrictive, which limited her control over her own career and personal life. And I do want to throw in right here that I know a lot of the times us that don't live this super famous lifestyles of the rich and famous can look at people and go, okay, oh well, you gotta work, but yet you're at least making millions of dollars. In this situation that Britney was in, allegedly, again, I'm not her, so I don't know, she was under all this scrutiny, being picked apart, because people will say, well, you chose this lifestyle, of course you're going to be picked apart, you're in the public eye. She lost custody of her kids, she was mentally unwell, she was still having to work, she was still being picked apart, which everything could then be used against her in court. She was making all this money, but yet she could not do anything with it. So when people typically look at like these rich people or these famous people and go, well, that's the cost of fame, you know, you're going to be picked apart. In Britney's situation, she did not really get the reward of the fame. She was like locked away in a castle, and every move that she made was controlled, but yet she had to continue to work without all the reward. I mean, it's really sad when you think about it. Now, over the next few years, this is when we saw Britney on X Factor, and she won the Michael Jackson Video Vanguard Award. She did a few song collaborations, but a lot of fans say that it was so obvious now, looking back, that Britney was being controlled and told to smile, even though she didn't feel happy. She got engaged to Jason Trawick, and he even became a co-conservator in her conservatorship alongside Britney's father, which so many questions, but for the sake of time, we're going to keep going here. But then their relationship ended in January of 2013, which then made Britney's father the sole conservator again. Now, I just cannot even imagine what this was like for her. There are more details in books that Britney has since released about this period of her life, but it's clear that these years were definitely low points. In September of 2013, Britney went on Good Morning America to announce her 2-year residency at Planet Hollywood Resort and Casino. She also announced that her 8th album was coming in December, and this album was actually Britney's last project under her original recording contract. It actually received a low amount of promotion and had little impact. It ended up being her lowest peaking and lowest selling album in the U.S. Over the next few years, Britney kept giving performances, making appearances, and releasing new music. She released her 9th album, Glory. She performed with G-Eazy at the 2016 MTV VMAs Awards, and this was her first time back at the VMAs after the conservatorship performance she gave back in 2007. This is also when she started dating Sam Asghari. They met on the set of a music video. Then, in 2019, the Free Britney campaign just completely took off. I mean, it all started in January of 2019 when it was announced that Britney's Las Vegas residency was being canceled after her father, Jamie, suffered a near-fatal colon rupture. By March, it was reported that Britney entered another psychiatric facility. Britney has since spoken about her experience in this facility, and let's just say that it was completely traumatizing.
To throw the best tailgates in Texas, we need the highest quality beef and HEB certified meat cutters like me.
And me. We hand cut and dry fresh meat 7 days a week.
High quality beef and custom cuts. No one does tailgating like HEB.
It has pockets. My favorite hat to make the holidays memorable, matching tammies from Old Navy. Here's your picture. And the crazy
Throughout history, experts and historians have faced the daunting task of unraveling strange events that seem to defy any logic. These include the discovery of out-of-place artifacts, unsolved true crime cases, or even sightings of unidentified creatures that left witnesses terrified. While explanations for these occurrences aren't usually found, some mysteries remain unsolved and continue to baffle even the most seasoned of experts. Many years later. Number 10. Johann Wolfgang von Goethe was not only a German poet, but also a novelist, scientist, playwright, theater critic, and statesman. He's been hailed as one of the greatest writers to have ever lived, but he's also the subject of a strange mystery that has never been explained. He was born in Frankfurt in 1749, and he grew up in a wealthy family. He likely got his love for literature from his father, who, after inheriting a fortune, collected rare and old books and paintings. His 7 children were educated using these books, though only Johann and his sister, Cornelia, lived past their childhoods. He had a close bond with Cornelia, but the opposite was true of one of his younger brothers, who lost his life while he was still young. It might be because of this that he developed a serious dislike of works that portrayed someone passing away. He was expected by his family to study law as an adult and to marry as soon as possible, and he followed this path, but at a leisurely pace. He started his studies in Leipzig in 1765, and after relocating to Rome, he became a pupil of Johann Winckelmann, a famous art historian. He started writing plays and novels, but these were eventually burned when he realized that they were inferior to the works that he was studying. He based one of his plays on a woman with whom he'd fallen in love, and since she refuted his advances, he portrayed a woman who starts regretting getting married to the wrong man about a year into the marriage. He decided to go back to Frankfurt after he fell seriously ill, possibly with tuberculosis, and once there his condition worsened to the point where he almost lost his life, but he eventually recovered. It's believed that this caused him to convert to evangelical Christianity, but he retained his interest in alchemy and started formulating the ideas that would later result in his most famous play, Faust, which centers around a man who sells his soul to the devil. He would go on to write many more great works that inspired thousands of writers that came after him. But he also had an unsettling encounter one day that left him shaken and confused.
Believe it or not, the original version of Hocus Pocus was quite different from the one we all know and love today. In fact, several key scenes and an entire storyline were cut before the movie hit theaters. Imagine a darker, more whimsical side to the Sanderson sisters' world, featuring strange creatures like candy crows, and an entire sequence set in a grocery store. These lost moments have intrigued fans for years, sparking endless discussions and petitions, asking Disney to release the unseen footage. Now, although many of these scenes seem to have been lost to time, Disney did toss us a bone with the 25th anniversary Blu-ray release. A handful of smaller, previously unseen scenes were included, which gave fans just a taste of what could have been. But what about the scenes fans are really clamoring for? We're talking about the famous swimming pool scene, the grocery store showdown, and, perhaps most mysterious of all, the Candy Crow storyline. Sadly, these highly anticipated scenes were not included in that release. There's been a lot of speculation about where these deleted scenes could be. Some fans point to a pay-per-view broadcast from 1994, which supposedly aired a version of Hocus Pocus that included all these missing moments. This rumour has been floating around for years, but here's the catch. No one has been able to verify it. Even after all this time, there's no known recording of this elusive TV broadcast. It's like the holy grail for die-hard fans, but as of now, it remains an unsolved mystery. So, what exactly are we missing? Well, there are some clues scattered throughout the original scripts. These scripts suggest that the Candy Crow storyline played a much larger role in the film, potentially adding a darker, more magical element to the plot. The grocery store scene would have shown the Sanderson sisters interacting with the modern world in hilarious and possibly chaotic ways as they tried to navigate aisles of food and everyday items they didn't understand. And let's not forget the swimming pool scene, another fan favourite that never saw the light of day. Some snippets of these scenes can be found in early trailers and TV spots for the movie. So, while Disney hasn't officially released the full versions, little glimpses of them do exist. That leaves us wondering just how much of the movie was reshaped before it reached its final version.
Good night. Sleep tight. No screaming.
I've always loved Halloween. Halloween, from the time I was a little boy, was the holiday. This idea really came about as almost every idea that I've ever created as a story for my children. In this case, I was sitting with my daughter. We were sitting in front of the house, and the neighborhood cat came by named Sam. And he kind of tracked himself across her legs and then went off to one of his adventures. And I said to Lexi, did you know that he was really a little boy? I said that witches had turned him into a cat. And, her eyes were huge, and she just kind of looked at him. And she was fascinated to know about the boy that was turned into a cat and why the witches turned him into a cat. And from there, I just started creating.
In this video, we're going to take a closer look at these legendary deleted scenes. We'll break down what we know about the scenes that were included in the 25th anniversary Blu-ray release, and the ones that remain locked away, or possibly lost forever. So if you're ready to dive deep into the mystery of these lost scenes, stick around, because we're uncovering everything you need to know. Original storyboard, extended scene, The Candy Crow. The Candy Crow subplot is a separate concept from what we see in the final Hocus Pocus movie. In the early drafts of the script, the Sanderson sisters didn't just use their magic to lure children, they used enchanted candy crows. These sinister treats would put kids into a trance-like state, making them easy targets for the witches. One of the most chilling moments in the original script involved Thackeray Binks waking up to find his sister Emily missing, with only a half-eaten candy crow left behind as a clue. In 1993, the witches were meant to use these cursed candies again, this time to lure modern-day children to their lair. While this storyline didn't make it into the final cut, fans can spot brief glimpses of it in early trailers and TV promos, where the Sandersons are seen handing out these ominous treats. Interestingly, this plot also featured prominently in the original novelization of the film, which came out alongside the movie's release. However, when the film hit theaters, the entire Candy Crow sequence was completely removed. If these scenes were ever rediscovered and included in a future re-release, we'd essentially have two wildly different versions of Hocus Pocus. It would be like watching a darker, more eerie version of the classic we know today, with the Candy Crows adding a whole new level of enchantment and mystery to the story.
All the good times that come from more me time.
extended dialogue deleted scene during the witch's hanging scene, mainly focusing on a conversation between Mary and Winifred, adding some comedy. This section also includes scenes from the original storyboard.
Did I leave the car, Bertie? I don't know. Would you mind just running in and checking the car? Has no heart. You're right, I will.
Next up, we have a deleted scene of Max arguing with his father about taking Danny trick-or-treating, followed by another deleted scene featuring Max's parents, Dave and Jenny Dennison, after he and Danny have left for trick-or-treating.
Blabs are fat-mouthed about my personal stuff and I'm supposed to take her trick-or-treating? Forget it, Dad.
Oh. Oh, okay.